as we've seen, so much of the impact for so many companies, most companies I think, comes not from their own operations but from supply chain. One of the interesting things that you've found is that it's not just a matter of what you make and how you make it, but where you make it. What's the impact of geography on supply chain impacts?
So for the report, what we found was that for US companies, on average, about 60% of the impact lies in the supply chain, and 40%, roughly, exists in the company's own operations.
And of course that differs from sector to sector. In some cases it's 80-20 or 20-80.
It differs hugely, and so for retailers, general retailers, for example, most of that impact will lie in the supply chain. For big power generation companies, most of the impact is operational. That kind of makes sense.
Right.
But the thing about that is actually understanding where, and that's in two areas really, where in the supply chain from a sort of tier perspective, how far back, where is this impact, how easy is it for me as a business manager to be able to get access to primary data sets on that impact. So if it's a long way upstream from your business, then it's a lot harder to get information because you don't have those direct relationships with those suppliers. The second point is where, location, geospecifically where are these impacts created? Because there's a huge variation. So creating a bale of cotton in Pakistan is 100 times more water intensive than creating that same bale of cotton in certain areas in the United States. So where's very, very important. And the where, more information about the where, is how businesses have started to build in resilience and security of supply to their supply chains.
And so the where and the cost isn't necessarily about the price that a company would pay for that bale of cotton. It's really the price to the environment. Is there a relationship between those, or maybe an inverse relationship?
Yeah, there's an inverse relationship usually. So where it's cheaper, you create more environmental costs or externalities. Because really what we've done is we've designed a market system that factors in price. And in some cases, you'd hope, quality. But there's very other information that really flows through the supply chain. So as we've lent towards a model away from conglomeration and vertical integration and towards outsourcing, we found that actually we've outsourced our production to places where environmental impacts are increased, where social impacts sometimes are increased. So although the product you're buying might be cheaper because the market is working to that effect, it's cheaper at the expense of the environment. So we really now need to understand what that expense is, how much extra we should be or could be paying in the future for environmental goods and services that could affect that price of that product, because that is the route to sustainability. Understanding where we create products in a way that doesn't damage the environment so much, that allow us to use resources more efficiently to, for example, grow crops where we should be growing crops rather than where it's cheapest to grow crops. That's where a lot of businesses are thinking through the dynamics around how they design systems rather than deal within a system that has just evolved that way.